It's 2025. Let's just take a second to realise that 2015 is now 10 years ago. Feel old yet? Me too. 2015 was one of my absolute favourite years for music. It was one of the most special years for music that I have ever lived through, sort of. And there was a lot of great albums that came out this year. Some of them have remained my favourite albums to this day, and I can't quite believe that they're turning 10 years old this year. So altogether, I'm going to be talking about 14 albums. And to avoid this one being a really long video, I've decided to put it into two parts. It's going to be a two-part video. This is part one. So yeah, this is 7 of my favourite albums turning 10 years old in 2025. Alright, so we'll just start off with the biggest and most important album for me of that year, actually of my entire life. This is my favourite album in existence, and if you still haven't already guessed it, it's That's the Spirit. That's the Spirit by Bring Me the Horizon is turning 10 years old this year. Mad. Absolutely mad. To put it into a small context, this album means more to me than most things in life. That's how deep it gets for this one. This damn umbrella just has so much meaning to me, it's ridiculous. 2015 was also the year that I saw Bring Me live for the first time, at Leeds Festival actually. 2015, they were opening for Metallica. So the first single we got for this album was Drown. You know, the lyrics, the chorus, the music video, everything is truly iconic. And then we got the release of Happy Song and Throne, still some of my favourite songs the band have ever released. The special thing about this album as well is that nearly every single song on this album is a single. Follow You, one of the greatest love songs ever written, another one of my absolute favourite songs. Doomed, another massive fan favourite. Avalanche, True Friends, Oh No, What You Need, Blasphemy, Run. So yeah, this album, massive meaning to me, incredible songs, great memories. That's the Spirit was also just completely staple to the band's career. It was a massive stepping stone for them from Sempiternal, because obviously it went into the more alt-rock, pop sort of sound. The band just kind of completely blew up with this album. This is the one where they really started to headline arenas and what would push them eventually onto headlining festivals as they are now. But for me, there is absolutely no doubt that That's the Spirit is my favourite album of all time, and I don't think that's ever going to change. Alright, next up, another one of the biggest albums of 2015. A little band called 21 Pilots decided to release easily their most successful album ever. It's Blurry Face. If you've heard any songs by 21 Pilots, it's most probably one of the songs from this album. Most likely, Stressed Out. We've also got Ride, Heavy Dirty Soul, Doubt, Polarize, Lane Boy, Goner, Hometown. And I'd never actually heard of 21 Pilots before this, but the group of emos that I was hanging out with back in 2015 actually were really big fans of this band, and they would always talk about this band, they would wear their tops, and at first when I listened to them I didn't get it. I didn't understand why those kind of people were listening to this band, because 21 Pilots are not an emo band, they're not a rock band, they're not a pop punk band, they're not a metal band, they're not in that genre at all. I didn't actually like the band the first few times I listened to some of these songs, but over time I've just grown to appreciate and even love some of these songs. But it was truly massive at the time. It was all the talk. This album was everywhere. These songs were in your face wherever you went. Just like Bring Me the Horizon, 21 Pilots also shot up in fame that year. And those two albums specifically are probably, in the alternative scene, the biggest, most memorable albums of that year for anyone. They just made such an impact. And I think it's rare that an album does that, really. To this level that these two albums did. Yeah, so again, Blurry Face, absolute banger of an album. Another one of my favourite bands of all time released an album this year, and I guess this is another one of my absolute favourite albums as well. It's Madness by Sleeping with Sirens. This album contains some of the band's biggest singles ever. Better Off Dead, Go Go Go, Kick Me. Really memorable stuff, still on the setlist to this day. Also on this album there's Heroin, Save Me a Spark, Don't Say Anything, Madness, The Strays. At this point in 2015, Sleeping with Sirens were one of my favourite bands anyway. Nostalgia is such a massive thing for me, and I can't believe that we're at the point now where 2015 is now classed as nostalgia. That's how long it's been, and this album just does that for me over and over. Another album that definitely elevated this band's fame once again. Next up, we got another one of my favourite bands' favourite albums. This is Never Happy Ever After by As It Is. Just a small British pop punk band that I have loved since they started their journey. Patty Walters, incredible vocalist. I used to watch this guy on YouTube, and he is actually one of the main reasons that I started ever doing vlogs, ever started doing any sort of videos. really important guy and really important band in my sort of development into who I am now. They are going to be at Slam Dunk Festival playing this album in full as well, so if you get the chance, go and check them out. You will not be disappointed, I promise. Let's talk about the songs on it. Obviously, Dial Tones, the band's biggest single ever. Can't Save Myself, Cheap Shots and Setbacks, Concrete, Sorry. Again, just so many great, memorable songs on here for me. Next up, another extremely memorable pop-punk album by the band All Time Low, Future Hearts. Extremely enjoyable, non-skippable all the way through. This album definitely has some great all-time low songs on it, from Something's Gotta Give, Kids in the Dark, Runaways, Don't You Go, Tidal Wave, The Edge of Tonight, Old Scars, Future Hearts. I'd say of all the bands on this list so far, All Time Low, one of the ones that I listen to the least these days. They've sort of fell off for me in the last few years. But this album, I will always happily go back to this one and really love listening to this one. Yeah, Future Hearts definitely has a special place in my heart. Alright, a couple more. The Mind Sweep by Enter Shikari. I feel like every Shikari fan definitely enjoys this album a hell of a lot. Torn Apart, Aneath the Tist, The Last Garrison especially. I wasn't a fan of Enter Shikari in 2015. It took me a good few years after that to finally get into them and go back in and appreciate these albums more. To be honest, I'm still quite a new Shikari fan, but I could not include this album because I know how important it was to fans back in 2015, and I'm glad to be one of them now. Alright, and one more. This is another band that I was completely unfamiliar with in 2015, which is crazy looking at how much of a fan I am of them now. It's Brainwashed by While She Sleeps. I think for a lot of the old school Sleeps fans, this is probably their favourite album still to this day. Not that much to say on this one again, but obviously this album contains some extremely fan favourite singles. Our Legacy, Four Walls, Brainwashed, New World Torture, really strong British metalcore bangers. And while I do think that most of their new work is still better than this one, I can see why this is definitely a fan favourite. Alright, that was 7 of my favourite albums turning 10 years old in 2025. And like I said earlier, this is going to be part 1 of 2. There will be a second part to this video with the rest of the albums that I love. So remember to look out for that one, it'll be here real soon. Please feel free to let me know what your favourite albums from 2015 were. It really was a great year for music, really special one for me, as I'm sure it was for a lot of you as well. Thank you for watching this one all the way to the end. We're in a brand new year now. I've got a really good feeling about this year. I'm feeling positive, feeling fresh, and I'm definitely going to be listening to all of these albums on repeat for the next few weeks, really getting those nostalgia feels going. Music will definitely do that for your mental health if you give it a chance, honestly. So until the next one, Happy New Year, Happy 2025. I hope it's a good one for you all, and I'll see you in the next video.